let's get into it. It's your time of the year.
It is.
Mock draft time, Tom, the number 12 drafter in the country, in the world. In the world? In the world.
In the world.
In the world. So Tom set up a little simulation
I did.
so that we can talk Cowboys draft. 7 rounds coming up. All right, pick number 1 in the number 19 overall in the first round. Here were the options that Tom got presented with. Tom, who are these guys?
So we did this on FanSpeak. We used the most recent updated big board. This is not quite perfect yet, but we upped the challenge level to make it a little bit more realistic. It's not perfect. There are some guys that fell that shouldn't have, but I think it's a nice little fun exercise to see who the Cowboys could get in the NFL draft. But as I sat there, Maurice Hurst goes off the board. A lot of the big linebackers go. So it's Hernandez and Wynn, the 2 guards who we mentioned on Tuesday's Cowboys report. Vita Vea, who I love, Rashawn Evans, and Derwin James. Now, I consider James, because I like the idea of getting
James
safety.
falls to 19.
That's
a good pick.
My dream scenario is that either Vita Vea or Derwin James is on the board. Vea was there. He was the pick for me in the first round. I love this kid, Brett. You do not find 340-pound defensive tackles who can play both sides, who can play all 3 downs. You don't find those guys in the NFL, plain and simple. We got 2 slides here to go through with Vea. Some of his strengths and weaknesses there. His technique does need some work, but I think you put him with Rod Marinelli, he very quickly becomes one of the top 10 defensive tackles in the NFL. He's got that upside. I think he's one of the 10 best guys in this year's draft. Reminds me a bit of Haloti Ngata. He can be a 3-down nose guard, fills that need, and can rush the passer. I think he is a perfect fit for the Cowboys.
As we talk about draft throughout this offseason here on the Cowboys Report, as well as on Chat Sports' NFL Daily, like Chat Sports or NFL by Chat Sports, to get that show, you'll find that Tom is very much a value drafter.
Yes.
So Tom does this with his own fantasy teams as well, but
sometimes
you see a guy with a grade of the top 10 that falls to you at number 19. Tom is the type of guy that is running to the podium, and a lot of times, Tom, that is how teams will play it out.
Look, I think with a guy like Vea, and especially with, I think, the way the draft might work out, teams like the Chargers could take him 1 pick before you.
Yep.
If I'm the Cowboys, knowing I've got a lot of compensatory picks, which you can now trade, I am looking to move up from 19 to like 15 or 14. And I'm open to moving up a lot and down this draft. We have a lot of picks, 10 in total this year, based on the projected compensatory selections. You will see Dallas move up and down throughout this year's draft class.
Yeah, with 10 picks, you have a little bit of that flexibility.
And you don't have 10 roster spots in reality right now for the Cowboys.
All right, let's take a look at round 2. Pick number 50. Here were the options that were presented to you here, Tom. Isaiah Wynn was still on the board in this simulation.
Which surprised me. You see some receivers on the board, James Washington, DJ Moore. There are actually a lot of receivers left. Now, I thought about going receiver. I'm like, you know what? I think I can get somebody in the next round that'll still be there. Thought about linebacker, Vander Esch, Jefferson. Both could go in the first round. But I saw Wynn. I saw the offensive guard, who I think the Cowboys could actually take in the first round. He was the selection here as well.
Yeah, Isaiah Wynn, second-team All-American from Georgia. Good athlete. Did play some left tackle, which could give the Cowboys another good depth backup option that helps when the Cowboys have had some of that injury problem at those positions.
I don't think he's going to be able to be a tackle in the NFL. He's not big enough. He barely checks in above 6'2". He's just over 300 pounds. His arms aren't long enough. He just doesn't have the length and the size to be a left tackle. I do think, though, he's going to be a really good guard in the NFL. NFL.com comped him to Ronald Leary, which I thought made some sense. I went pre-injury Jonathan Cooper. He's got that type of athletic ability. Not quite as good overall, where Cooper was a top 10 pick in that draft class. But I think Wynn is a day-1 starter at left guard. I think he's got the ability to be a 10-year starter as well. He's going to be a really good guard in the NFL. If he falls to the Cowboys at 50, or if he's on the board at 40, go get him.
So far, Tom has picked up 2 big value picks in this draft simulation.
FanSpeak is a little bit broken.
But you didn't pick up a wide receiver yet.
Not
and that's
yet.
where you've been. So let's take a look at round 3 and what fell to you. Oh my, 2 brilliant wide receivers, and Anthony Miller and Michael Gallup. Which one did you run to the podium with?
Dion Kane also on the board. DJ Chark there as well. There were a lot of tight ends, which I actually consider. I'm like, ooh, Mark Andrews, Hayden Hurst. Maybe Rico's not the answer. Maybe we go tight end. I saw some linebackers. My mindset was, all right, I'll pass on linebacker. Maybe Baker or Jewell will fall to me, and I'll be happy with that. But I went receiver, and I went with Brett's boy, Michael Gallup of Colorado State. I think he's a really good size, speed, build combo. He doesn't have elite physical traits, but he's above average at all of them. And I think his body control and ability to go up and get passes at the high point is a big factor there. He reminds me a little bit of a poor man's Roddy White. I think he goes round 2, round 3. That's where I've got him graded as we sit right now. He is going to be a very good number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. He's not a number 1 guy, but he's a very solid number 2.
Yeah, Gallup had a lot of production at Colorado State's 100 catches in his senior season. He was the go-to guy there for a 7-win team. He has had some challenges in the classroom. Let's just put it that way.
He was supposed to go to South Carolina, didn't get in, had to go JUCO, had an injury his last year of JUCO, ended up at Colorado State.
So it'll be
talent's always been there.
It'll be interesting to see how his stock rises or falls after the combine. All right, so that was pick number 3 in the 3rd round. Let's take a look at round 4 here. Who fell to you at pick 118?
I see Anthony Miller there, and I'm like, oh, man. Should I just double dip at wide receiver, make it happen? Like,
I mean,
what's
going on with this simulation here for Miller to get all the way to 4?
I don't know why Miller fell there. It's based on big boards. Miller was way higher on the big board. He was like an 80 or 90 overall on the big board I was doing, which is about right. And I'm like, ooh, he's there. I'm really tempted. I saw Mason Cole. I want more offensive line depth. I really thought about Cole. I'm like, you know what? I'll go somewhere else. I see Dante Pettis there. I see Quinn Blanding at safety as well. But I'm going with one of my pet cats, Brett. I am going with Jordan Whitehead, the safety from Pitt. He is an incredible athlete and a very versatile defensive back as well. He is the guy that can play free safety, strong safety. He can be that slot nickel corner hybrid at safety as well. I'm a big fan of Whitehead with what he can be. Right now, he's not quite all there yet. Now, he'll hit hard, but he's very undersized. He checks in at like 5'10", 190. Had a suspension this year. Doesn't make a lot of plays on the ball, which does concern me, Brett.
So, Tom, is there a reason you took this guy?
Well, because of my player comparisons.
Yes.
He reminds me of Kenny Vaccaro.
Yeah.
I like that kind of guy. Look, I think he maybe he doesn't become a dynamite safety in the same way that Derwin James does. I know there are some off-the-field issues with White as well, which do need to be checked out. But I think he can be in a similar player to Vaccaro. Can play strong safety, can play some free safety. He played some corner at college as well, so he can hold up man-to-man. He's very versatile. This off-the-field stuff has to be checked out as well, though otherwise Whitehead's not going to make a lot of sense for the Cowboys. But in round 4, I think it's great value here.
So Cowboys have another round 4 pick, this one at 138. Compensatory pick. Here's some guys that were available, including Royce Freeman, the running back from Oregon.
I do want to back up halfback in this draft. Round 4 with a bunch of comp picks makes some sense there. That's solid value for Freeman. I see Quentin Meeks on the board. I like him. He's a good, long, lanky corner. Could be a guy that can play a corner, especially if the Cowboys don't move Byron Jones down to corner.
Yep.
I really wanted Mason Cole, but he went off the board 1 pick before me.
Should have taken him at 118 then.
No, because I won Whitehead. So I'm like, okay, that's fine there. I see it, and I'm like, ooh, should I go Miller, double dip? I also know that I haven't had a linebacker.
Phil says never double dip, by the way.
Always double dip. But
your chip?
Also, yes. I also don't have a linebacker yet for the Cowboys, and we need a linebacker. So I went linebacker, Shaun Dion Hamilton. If he is healthy, he doesn't go this late. But the medical is a major concern for Hamilton. He's coming off a torn right ACL in 2016, then fractures kneecap to end this year. So the medical actually might result in him going way later than this. So we'll see what happens at the Combine. It's a big deal for Hamilton. If he checks out medically, I think this is about the right range. If he doesn't, he could fall. He's got good intelligence, good reactions. I don't know if the speed is quite there yet, and he is a little undersized as well. But you know who he actually reminds me of, Brett? Anthony Hitchens. So there's your replacement if you lose Anthony Hitchens in free agency. They're pretty similar size-wise. I don't know if he holds up in coverage that well. And I do think he profiles as a backup in the NFL. But in round 4, late round 4, almost round 5, because this is a comp pick, you want to find those guys and have them on your roster. I think in round 4, that makes a lot of sense.
Cowboys have another comp pick. They go back-to-back, 138 and 139. All right, Tom, you got to pull the trigger on one of these guys. Which one did you pull the trigger on?
Anthony Miller is there at the end of round 4.
Double dip.
I got to do it. Like I know this is not ideal.
Why is he still there?
I don't know. Look, weird stuff happens. Okay, I've done a couple of these in the past. I had one where Calvin Ridley fell to the 2nd round. Like it just didn't make any sense. So things get a little weird. I don't think this happens.
It is a simulation.
It is a simulation. But Anthony Miller, he's going to turn 24 in his rookie year. So the age is a bit of an issue there. but he reminds me so much of Sterling Shepard. He's a great route runner. He's pretty dangerous after the catches, despite being not all that fast. The size isn't ideal. He's undersized, but I think he's going to be that Sterling Shepard guy who some people think, oh, he's a slot receiver. I don't think so. I think he can play outside. So what you do, you have Michael Gallup, Anthony Miller. You let Terrence Williams go next year. You can keep Switzer as your return guy and as a slot guy. You say maybe goodbye to Noah Brown at some point, but you got Miller, and then maybe you have Des Bryant too. And at that point, that's a pretty good receiving core and a young one at that. So getting Miller and Michael Gallup with where I got him, I'm ecstatic about it.
Yeah,
super pumped.
You fixed everything because this is going to happen, right?
Yeah, it is going to happen.
Noah Brown played a lot more this year than I expected. He really became that blocking wide receiver.
Yeah, and
the Cowboys
he's very good
wanted.
at that. And Miller's a pretty solid blocker. I think he's maybe a better one than Michael Gallup is, but you do like Brown to have that versatility. But overall, I think getting 2 receivers and Gallup and Miller where I got him, it was just too perfect.
Justin saying should have went cornerback.
We're not.
We
are not going quarterback in this mock draft.
Corner.
DB. Well, Byron Jones is a corner in my simulation, so it's fine. We don't need one. We're set.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. All right.
I considered several. I will say that.
Let's talk about a few new guys here. Round 5, pick 174. Another comp pick here at the end of round 5.
Yeah.
A couple of guys really stand out here. One, Holton Hill, cornerback from Texas. And then one, Shaquem Griffin,
I don't know
UCF.
what's going to happen with Holton Hill because on the field, talent only, he's probably one of the top 5 corners in this year's class. Mm-hmm. But his off the field is full of red flags. So we'll wait and see what happens on that.
Like Jerry red flags? Maybe not.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Like there's been some rumblings of some medical or some marijuana issues and some. Look, he got kicked out of Texas more or less by Tom. So Hill is talented, but I have Byron Jones at corner. It's fine there. I also, by the way, DJ Reed, your boy, went off 1 pick before me.
DJ Reed, cornerback from Kansas State.
Yeah,
by the way.
so I'm looking at linebacker again because I think the Cowboys will double dip at linebacker with all these picks and they want to fill out the back of the roster. Jack Cichy has medical concerns. Fred Warner is a great athlete, but he's not the best athlete left at linebacker. That is Shaquem Griffin of Central Florida. Now, only having one hand is going to be an issue for NFL teams. They're going to be like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like, how is he going to be able to play? We saw him play at Central Florida. And there was, in particular against Auburn, Griffin was the best player on the field in that game. He was everywhere.
The kid is a stud athlete. He gets all over the field, just flies around. The one hand will be interesting to see how NFL teams approach it and how he approaches it too. But through his career at UCF, it never seemed to really hinder him at all.
Someone's going to draft this guy, and at the absolute worst,
he's going to go on kickoff team and absolutely fly and hit something.
You're going to have a borderline Pro Bowler on special teams. Like that's what he can be. So in round 5, I absolutely love it. I'm down with taking him in round 4 as well. I think he can be that type of guy. Reminds me a bit in terms of the way he plays as Dion Jones, undersized, but is a really good athlete. He's only 6 foot and a quarter. 223 pounds, but the speed is there for Griffin. I love what I've seen him do on the field. I know having only one hand is a big concern for NFL teams and for Griffin, but I think the athleticism overrides that. You got to take a shot on him. I think someone's going to get a really good player at some point, likely on early day 3 in the NFL draft.
All right, Tom, 3 picks left.
And then we'll recap.
You went lower schools, a bunch of guys that people have not heard of.
We're going to get to one
for the most part here. So
again,
let's start here. 176, another comp pick at the end of round 5.
2 picks later, really no one had changed.
Yep.
So I got my linebacker, so we're not going to go there. I did think about Holton Hill again, but I haven't got my offensive lineman yet, and I want to get someone that I can have potentially be a new swing tackle, and I went with Brandon Parker.
You did get one offensive lineman already.
I did, but I wanted a backup because Wynn's going to start. So I need a backup swing guy. I look at Brandon Parker, a 4-year starter at North Carolina A&T. With Parker, the traits and the production are there. And I like what I've seen of that in terms of him. The issue is there's not much competition and he's very raw. He reminds me of Julian Davenport. And one particular reason, he is a massive human being. He is 6'7" and a quarter. Now, he's only 303 pounds, so he's got to bulk up. But I think this is the prime example of a raw offensive lineman who's got long arms, almost 35 and 3/8 inches, so that checks out. He just needs time to develop. You put him in, I think he can be a swing tackle for you. I actually don't know if he lasts this long because Teams will see, size and athleticism, and he's just massive as all get out, and they'll take a flyer on him in early day 3, maybe even late day 2, and say, let's see if we can develop this guy, kind of like Julian Davenport, and end up being with the Texans as a late-round pick, or mid-round pick. I like Parker. I'd love it if he's there. Look, the issue for the Cowboys is the offensive tackle classes this year, Brett, is not good. There are some good guys early on, but they're not going to spend a first or second or even third-round pick on the spot, so they're not going to get one of those talented players.
Yep.
So they're going to have to reach or hope that someone falls to them.
All right, that was the last pick of round 5. Let's move into round 6 here. Cowboys pick at 195. Here are your options. Tight end from Notre Dame. How about once you pop, he don't stop? Byron Pringle from Kansas State as well. How about Cameron Petway, though, Tom?
You know, Petway is another halfback. He's a little bigger guy. I don't know if he'd be a perfect fit for the Cowboys, but he was the top guy left. I thought about Damon. If I hadn't taken Jordan Whitehead, I think I would have taken Damon Webb. But I will go with a guy who I promise you guys right now, there is 0 chance that this guy falls to Dallas, probably in round 5 or even round 4. That is Nathan Shepard of Fort Hays State. Now, at the Senior Bowl, he wrecked everybody. Like, this is a guy that I had not heard of until the Senior Bowl, and until he got hurt and broke his wrist there, he was unblockable. He was, I think, the biggest Senior Bowl riser. Good size, basically 6'4", 310 pounds. He's from Canada, a bit older than you'd like. He has put on 100 pounds since high school when he was just under 210 pounds. He has the athletic ability, the physical traits, everything you want to see. He's shown the flashes, but he's raw, has not faced level of competition, but he lit up the Senior Bowl. Brett, I think there is an outside shot. He goes in round 1.
That's crazy.
That is how much he impressed people at the Senior Bowl. He reminds me of Larry Ojanobi, who was a Charlotte defensive tackle, went in round 3. I think he goes late round 2, early round 3, somewhere in that range. This is your David Irving insurance, by the way. That's who Shepard can kind of play as, although he's not quite as big.
It's just amazing when guys like this rise up
out of nowhere.
I mean, he could have played school, a couple hours down the road at Kansas State. I wouldn't have minded it.
I mean, this is why you go to the Senior Bowl, because you see these guys that no one had heard of really before, and even most draft analysts are like, who's this guy? And he just destroyed every offensive lineman that he went up against. It was incredible.
All right, one more pick here, Tom, 236.
This is the last pick for the Cowboys here. This is, like, I'm looking at Heath Harding, a cornerback, because I like him, but I haven't got my scat back yet. So let's look at a halfback here. Levon Coleman I like, but I also like Chase Edmonds out of Fordham, another guy that did very well at the Senior Bowl before he got hurt. Had he not been hurt his senior year at college, and Chase Edmonds is the pick here, by the way, he very well probably would have set the FCS rushing record for a career. He was going to set that before he got hurt, was limited to just under 600 yards. Had a heavy workload. Injuries are a concern. He's a little undersized, checks in at just under 5'9", about 200 pounds here. 31.5-inch arms. He's good. He reminds me of a poor man's Gio Bernard. I don't think he's not as good as Bernard, but that's kind of how he plays in terms of style. But I like Edmonds. If he's there in round 7, even round 6, he can be your new kind of third down back, which I think the Cowboys would like to go out and get. They almost took Donnell Pumphrey in last year's class.
Yeah, go ahead and give Tom a grade here on his simulated mock draft. We're going to have more of these. We're going to get you guys involved in the future as well, where you guys get to make those picks as it comes up.
Fan-led draft.
We'll take a look at his results here real quick before we exit on the Cowboys report for this week. Vita Vea there in the first round. Isaiah Wynn, you love it. Michael Gallup, we fixed everything in the first 3 rounds.
We're done.
Done. Jordan Whitehead, Shaun, Dion, Hamilton. Oh, what? Anthony Miller, too,
still
in the
board.
4th round. Shaq Griffin, Brandon Parker, Nathan Shepard, and Chase Edmonds.